Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name's Devin, and today we are going to be talking about how to make your community a bicycle-friendly community. Today, we will be speaking with Amelia Neptune. Amelia oversees the Bicycle Friendly America program, which includes bicycle friendly community, bicycle friendly business, and bicycle friendly university ratings. Before joining the League of American Bicyclists in 2013, Amelia was the campus bicycle coordinator for the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, which is a bronze bicycle-friendly university. There, she experienced the bicycle-friendly university program firsthand and became very interested in the program. Before she worked at the University of Illinois, she worked in the communications department at the Nature Conservancy's worldwide headquarters in Arlington, Virginia. Amelia has a bachelor's degree from Pitzer College in Claremont, California, and a Master of Science in Environmental Sciences and Policy from Johns Hopkins University. Before we begin today, just a little bit of housekeeping. If for any reason you experience a problem with the webinar software, the best thing you can do is to close out the program, click the link that was sent to you, and enter the webinar program again. That'll solve about 99% of the problems you'll experience, and the same goes for audio. If you're using a telephone, just hang up and recall in the called number that was provided to you, and that will solve your audio issues. We will be taking questions at the end of the webinar, but please feel free to type any questions that you have during the webinar into the chat box, and we'll get that answered at the end of the webinar. So without further ado, I will turn over the webinar to Amelia.
Great, thanks so much, Devin, and thanks to Heritage Ohio for hosting this webinar and having me on today to talk about bicycle-friendly communities. So the name of this webinar, Are You Ready to be a Bicycle-Friendly Community? Spoiler alert, yes, you are. Just wanted to get the short answer out right away to let you know that yes, every community is ready. All right, with that. So the League of American Bicyclists, if you aren't familiar with our organization, I'll just give a quick introduction. We're a national bike advocacy organization, and we've actually been around since 1880, originally founded as the League of American Wheelmen. And the original purpose of the organization was to advocate for the very first paved roads in the country. Back before cars ruled the road, bicyclists really wanted a smoother ride and formed this organization to advocate for better riding experiences. And today we basically serve the same purpose. Our mission is to lead the movement to create a bicycle-friendly America for everyone, and we do that with a number of programs, including our education program, where we teach bike safety curriculum and train people to teach bike safety in their communities. We do advocacy on Capitol Hill here in Washington, D.C., making sure federal laws protect bicyclists and include things like funding for bike infrastructure in the transportation bill, for example. And then the program that I run is the Bicycle Friendly America program. And as Devin said, that includes the bicycle friendly community, business, and university programs, which are all opt-in in that any community, business, and university can apply for the designation, and I'll get into much more detail about that in this webinar. And then we also have the Bicycle Friendly State program as part of the BFA suite of programs, and in that we rank all 50 states every other year, and the 2019 rankings will be coming out later this year. So Bicycle Friendly America for Everyone, one of the ways we're working to accomplish that with this program is we're helping communities to set targets and create options for basically any kind of community, any shape or size. And that's something you'll hear me say a few times in this webinar, because it's really important to us to meet communities where they are, regardless of how long they've been thinking about bicycling or working on this as a community. there's something for every community in this program. A big part of what we do is help you benchmark and track your progress. We also work to facilitate partnerships between local bike advocates and decision makers and everyone else involved in creating a bicycle-friendly community. We offer hands-on assistance, and then our award designation is sort of the carrot of the program in recognizing the efforts that communities have already gone through. So before I get too much into the logistics of the program, I wanted to just emphasize that bicycle-friendly communities are places where people want to live, work, and visit. It's not a special interest to focus on creating a bicycle-friendly community or becoming more bicycle-friendly in your community. It's really something that benefits everyone, whether you bike or not, whether an individual bikes or not. Places that are bike friendly are frequently on the top, rankings of cities and towns where people want to be. There are lots of studies showing all kinds of benefits from the sustainability aspect to the economic aspect, health. There are many reasons to promote bikeability, and that's one of the reasons I love this program, is because it does solve so many problems when you try to when you're trying to do so much as a city. It turns out the bike can be a really simple solution to many complex problems. So the Bicycle Friendly Community Program started in 1996, and we did a big overhaul of it in 2002. So it's been around for a good long time. We give out award levels in 5 different levels, from bronze to diamond, and we've actually only given out up to platinum so far. And the diamond level was introduced within the last decade or so to give those platinum communities something else to work towards. We wanted to make sure that they knew they weren't done yet, and there's always more room for improvement, even if you're a platinum level community. So we set out criteria for diamond as well, but only 5 communities have reached platinum status, and not every community that applies to the program gets an award. So that's an important thing to note. We have an honorable mention category, and then there's also some communities that don't reach that level yet, but they still get the feedback from us on how to improve, and we encourage them to come back to the program after making changes. So again, the program recognizes communities for what they're doing and provides a roadmap for becoming even more bike friendly. So the criteria that we look at, our application is organized into what we call the 5 E's, and that's engineering, education, encouragement, enforcement, and evaluation and planning. And you can look at our application. There's a Word document version of it on our website. So if you're curious to see exactly what we ask about in each of these 5 categories, definitely feel free to go and download our application and take a look at it to see how your community is doing. We definitely want the application itself to be a tool to help communities improve. Even if they're not submitting an application to us, reviewing the questions can be very, very helpful. And I've mentioned the sort of all shapes and sizes aspect of it, and so we've got these building blocks of a bicycle-friendly community. So we're looking at over 300 data points. So there should be something for every community in there, and we've identified these top building blocks as some of the most important things, but we're looking at a really wide variety of criteria, and a holistic approach, looking at all 5 E's is one of the most important things we're looking for. So whether you're a really big city with a dense urban core, or you've got a lot of natural landscape where trails are more the way people are going to be getting around, whether your roads look like this or like this, there's opportunities in every community to add bike infrastructure, which would be under the engineering category. But we're also looking at things like education. So here, thinking about how bike safety is being taught to children, whether that's in schools or programming in the community, and also taught to adults. We're looking increasingly at not just bicyclist education, but driver education. I mentioned our education program at the beginning of the webinar, and one of the things we've just released in the last few years is a bicycle-friendly driver training, which is often targeted for fleet drivers and professional drivers. So that's something to think about. It's not just about educating kids, but everybody, whether you're on a bike, in a car, etc. Another thing we look at in the encouragement category would be events. Anything from bike to work day to a fun social ride with the mayor, all kinds of things can count as encouragement. And again, whether you're a big city or a small town, there's a lot of different things on the application that can spark inspiration for how you can get people involved in making your community more bike friendly. Under enforcement, we're looking at things like how the law is enforced equitably for drivers and bicyclists, whether there are reasonable laws on the books and whether they're being enforced are, two sides of two very important components of that. It's also looking at crashes and fatalities and how those things are being tracked. What are the rates and what is the community doing to improve those? Things like Vision Zero plans are becoming more and more common, where communities are coming together and saying traffic fatalities are preventable, and there's a lot we can do to understand why this is happening and to prevent it from happening in the future. And then evaluation and planning, we're looking at things like staffing, budget, plans for improving. And as I mentioned earlier, even the platinum level communities like Davis, California, recognize that there's room for improvement. And so in those communities, we of all shapes and sizes, again, we like to see efforts for really understanding where your city needs to improve or your town needs to improve and dedicating the resources to make those improvements. So the application is, as I said, it's an online application, and the process is we review all the data provided by the community. We also look at some publicly available data from the census and other sources to get a sense of ridership numbers and other things. And then one other piece we do is a public survey. And we send the link to the applicant. We ask them to help distribute it. We also send it out to all league members since we're a membership organization. We've got a lot of local bicyclists all over the country who are very passionate about making their community more bike friendly. So we try to reach all of them. And then of course our network of bike advocates all across the country. There are local and statewide groups all over who we work with to to make these improvements and also to help collect input from local bicyclists when their community is applying. So the current standing as of spring 2019, which was our most recent application award round, there are 475 communities, and this is the breakdown by award level. So obviously platinum is pretty difficult to attain, but not impossible. And then of course we've created that diamond category to encourage those platinums to keep moving and keep improving because they're not done yet. And everybody that gets an award is required to reapply every 4 years. And the reason we do that is to make sure that everything that earned them the award originally is still being done, but also the technology is changing, the best practices are changing. Things like bike share has really evolved in the last 10 years across this country. And so obviously our application needs to evolve and keep up with all of these latest best practices as well. So that's another reason to get communities to continually engage with the program and not just say, okay, we got the award, we're done, but to keep coming back every 4 years and reevaluating and benchmarking and tracking their progress over time. So here's the breakdown by state of those 475 current bicycle-friendly communities. And Ohio, as you saw in the last slide, has 19 bicycle-friendly communities. And then for our other programs, there are 48 businesses that are in the bicycle-friendly business program, 6 universities, and as of the last ranking, Ohio ranked 18th out of the 50 states. So as I said, the new bicycle-friendly state rankings will be coming out later this year in the winter. So keep an eye out for that to see if there's any movement. And we've got all this information on our website if you want to check out what communities, businesses, and universities are already in the program. You can see the list. If you go to this link and then click on your state, you can, below the map of the full list appears. And then you can also look at the report card for every community that has gotten the designation. I've shown here in the little red circle where you click to see the report card for any given community. So I'm going to transition now to talk about bicycle-friendly business a little bit, because this is a really important component of bicycle-friendly communities. And I understand many participants of this call, as employers or business associations, or the Bicycle Friendly Business Program is really available to pretty much everyone on this call, I would guess. Even if you're not in a position to submit the application for your community to become a bicycle friendly community, and maybe you need to encourage them, the Bicycle Friendly Business Program should be an option for everyone on this call, whether you're a bike shop owner or the Main Street Business Association. So eligible businesses, pretty much anyone can apply. If you work from home, unfortunately, we don't offer evaluating home offices, residential home offices, just because it really wouldn't be fair when we're asking about things like, do you make showers available to your employees? The other criteria is we only evaluate businesses that have 2 or more people coming to the business regularly. So if you're a one-person business, but you've got customers coming in, that still counts. Clients, volunteers. We've even had all volunteer businesses apply. And really, any kind of entity, we use the term business very loosely. So we've got elementary schools in the program. We have churches, police departments. There's a community garden in Colorado that became a bicycle-friendly business. So there's really, again, that all shapes and sizes. We really mean it, especially for the bicycle-friendly business program. And then, of course, on the other end of the spectrum, we've got giant Fortune 500 headquarters in the program with 10,000, 20,000 employees. So we've worked hard to develop an application that works for all of those different types of entities. And then the only other thing to note is that if you have multiple locations, we ask that you only apply for 1 location per application, and you're welcome to submit multiple applications for your various chain, if you have a chain of restaurants, for example, or offices across the state, you're more than welcome to submit for each of those locations, but it's just too difficult to try to evaluate, especially on the engineering side, for more than 1 location. So thinking about why a business might care about bicycles and being recognized as bicycle friendly, there are a lot of benefits for the business. We hear anecdotally all the time that, when we get more of our employees biking to work, they're showing up happier, healthier, more energized every day. The camaraderie and morale at our business is really excellent since we started doing these lunchtime group rides. Those kinds of things are really time and again things we hear over and over from businesses. And there is a little bit of data out there. I'm always hungry for more research on this. We have one company that did a study of their employees who participated in their bike to work program, and they saw a great decrease in costs related to healthcare and insurance related costs for those employees. So there is one study, and that's on our website, but I'm always looking for more. So if anyone out there wants to partner with us to help us collect more data about this, so we don't just have the anecdotes, feel free to reach out. Obviously, lots of benefits for the employee as well, all the health things I talked about, plus, travel costs, travel time in a lot of cases, all sorts of reasons. And I didn't mention costs on the last slide, but I should have, because the amount of money that many employers spend on parking, whether it's maintaining a parking lot or a parking garage or just subsidizing parking for their employees. If you're getting people to bike to work instead, you can save a lot of money that way. And of course, as an individual, if you're used to being the one paying for your parking, or drive, even if you have free parking, the costs of driving to work versus biking to work, it can be a great difference. And then the community, many benefits, as I've already talked about in this webinar, but it's worth remembering again that even at the business scale, you're having a great impact for the community. And so from the community standpoint, it's a great idea to encourage your businesses to become bike friendly too. So similar to the community program, businesses apply online. This is a preview of what the online application looks like. And I mentioned the 5 E's for communities. For businesses, it's the 4 E's, so everything but enforcement. So for businesses, we're looking at engineering, encouragement, education, and evaluation and planning. Similarly, we give out award levels from bronze to platinum, and there's sort of a similar pyramid of the number of each of those. And not every business that applies gets an award, but they do all get feedback and encouragement to apply when they're ready after they've made some improvements. And this is just a preview of some of the feedback that we get. That we give to businesses. They get both, the national perspective of our full-length feedback report, but they also get the results of the surveys that we do. So for communities, we do public surveys. For businesses, we do employee and customer surveys, and we send those results of the surveys back to the applicant so they can see what local bicyclists are saying about their community or their business. Another benefit the Bicycle Friendly Business Program brings is just the increased recognition. There's been a lot of great press coverage about becoming bicycle friendly, and everybody that gets an award from us also gets a great press packet that will help them promote their own award as well, so that they can use it for bragging rights. So if you're thinking that this looks interesting to you and you'd like to learn more, our website bikeleague.org/BFA is sort of the parent page for bicycle friendly community and businesses, and we've got getting started guides for each of the programs, and then quick assessment scorecards, so you can get a sense of whether you're ready to apply or not. And the act of applying is a great learning tool. Even reviewing the application and not submitting the application, we've heard from many, is a great learning tool. So checking out the resources on our website is a great place to start, and then coordinating with all your local bike groups, and of course feel free to contact us for assistance. A few other things I wanted to mention is the sort of synergies between bicycle friendly businesses and bicycle friendly communities. This is a ranking we do just showing the number of bicycle-friendly businesses in cities. So these are the cities with the most bicycle-friendly businesses. And Fort Collins, Colorado has been leading the pack for a number of years. They have 61 right now. The next highest is 43. And each of these communities has a different story as to how and why so many businesses there took note of the Bicycle Friendly Business Program and started participating. And a lot of them, it was something like a Main Street organization or a downtown partnership type group. St. Petersburg, Florida is one of my favorite examples because 3 years ago, they had 0 bicycle friendly businesses. And through a partnership with the city and a local consultant that the city is contracting with, they've been able to engage with a ton of local businesses, including, an animal vet office, a local art store, art framing store, several nonprofits. The city themselves applied as a business, and that's something local city governments can do. They can apply as employers to the business program. So they've got a really wide variety of businesses participating. And it's just been really excellent to just propel the conversation about bicycling in the community. They now do group rides with the various businesses that are participating with their local chamber of commerce. It's just been a really great sort of piece to build up the community in St. Petersburg is now a silver level bicycle friendly community. And a big part of that was all this involvement from their local businesses. So if you're interested in finding others in your community who might be interested in helping an effort like that, one of the things we offer on our website is a Connect Locally map. And so if you go to this URL, you can enter your zip code, and you'll get a list of all the bike shops that we are aware of, all the local bike clubs, local organizations, league cycling instructors who participate in that education program that I mentioned. Basically anybody who's on our radar as being involved in bicycling will be listed there, and it's a great place to just find like-minded folks or potential partners. And that includes all existing bicycle friendly businesses as well. And we've seen in some communities efforts to promote becoming bicycle friendly has included really fun activities like hosting a happy hour at the local brewery that's a BFB, and doing a sort of study session where existing bicycle friendly businesses present to other interested businesses on what they did to be bike friendly, what the application process was like for them, and sort of helping each other submit their applications to get the feedback and the recognition as well. And it's become just a great community building opportunity for them. So engaging with the existing bicycle friendly businesses or any business that wants to become a BFB, and having them host something fun like a happy hour or just a lunch and learn or anything like that for other businesses can be just a really great place to start for communities. On our website, we've also got a great online resource library that we work hard to update and add to all the time. So under each of the program listings here, if you can see my mouse, there's an FAQ and resources page for each of the sub-programs, communities, businesses, and universities. So you can check out those, and the resources section is organized by the 5 E's or the 4 E's, and just has a ton of information and examples to look at. So final thoughts, the thing I've mentioned a few times is communities and businesses of all shapes and sizes can do this, whether you're a big city with automated bike counters, or this little bakery in Vermont that submitted their picture of their really awesome Every Mile Counts tracking log, where employees of the bakery were entering how many miles they were riding, or every day that they were riding, on this paper chart on the wall. And I just loved that as an example to say, whatever you think the barriers are for encouraging people to ride, there are lots of ways to make it fun, make it interesting. If your employees can't bike to work because of the location, or because they live too far away or have other barriers, hosting a lunchtime bike ride, or encouraging people to start riding to work together to help figure out, what routes to use. And then, of course, using that as a tool to help your community become more bike friendly is the ultimate goal, so that more people feel like they can ride if they want to, and their community is safe and accessible to get around by bike. That's the ultimate goal, as a program. So if you're interested in applying, I put up our future upcoming deadlines for each of the programs. Universities are coming up soonest, later this month. We actually just had a deadline for bicycle friendly communities last week. So the spring 2020 application round just opened on Monday. So if you're a community thinking about applying, you've got plenty of time between now and February to submit that application, and businesses also have a good amount of time to submit for the next application deadline, which is October 10th. So feel free to start an online application. You can start and return to it anytime. You can also download either Word or PDF versions of the applications if you're just curious and want to see the questions we ask. And a lot of people have told us that just reviewing the questions have given them many ideas for things they could be doing, and they use our application as guidance before actually applying, and then that helps them to have a much stronger application in a year's time or so. So that's something to think about as well. So with that, I will open it up to questions, and I've also put our team email address here, so you can feel free to reach out with additional questions after the webinar, but I think we have plenty of time to take questions here on the call.
Thank you, Amelia. Yes, in your chat boxes, you can start typing your questions in now. To give you guys some time, I'm going to go over a few upcoming Heritage Ohio events coming up so you are aware of them. First, on Wednesday, September 11th at 1 o'clock is our next Heritage Ohio webinar. This webinar is going to cover how Wi-Fi can revitalize your downtown. That'll be with Katie Meyer from Cincinnati Bell. The next day, September, is our next revitalization series training workshop that's going to be in Tip City, Ohio. And this webinar is going to cover how to grow your business through email marketing, why you must have a content strategy, and how to create one. And finally, on October 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, our annual conference in Newark, Ohio is taking place. We have a lot of great sessions this year, everything ranging from eco businesses to historic windows to downtown development. So if you are interested in checking that out, you can find more information on our conference at heritageohio.org. And our early bird rate is available through the end of the month on August 30th. That is for that. We have a few questions to start with. First, what is the cost, Amelia, for individual businesses, communities, to submit their applications for each program?
Great question, and sorry I didn't mention this before. So communities actually apply for free. There's no application fee for communities submitting to the Bicycle Friendly Community Program. Businesses, it's a scaling fee depending on the size of the business, and again, it's based on the location that's applying. So we have tiers based on the number of employees. So if you have 50 or fewer employees, it's $50. The next size up pays $100, and then $250, and then the highest price is $500 for businesses that are over 1,000 employees. So you can see that more detailed breakdown on our website, but it ranges from $50 to $500 depending on the size of the business.
And the next question is there an upkeep fee once you do obtain a bicycle friendly status?
No, so the only fee we charge is when you actually submit an application. So once you get an award, once you attain the status, you'll need to reapply every 4 years. So you would pay that application fee just when you're submitting an application every 4 years. And some businesses make improvements really quickly and they decide to reapply in 1 year. So they would obviously pay that application fee again, just to cover the costs of the application process. But there are no fees in between. The other thing I'll mention is we're, again, a membership organization, and we do have business and corporate memberships, and all of our business members can apply to the Bicycle Friendly Business Program for free as one of their perks. There are a variety of other benefits as well, but I just always wanted to mention that if you become a supporting member of the league as a business, your business can apply to the program for free.
Thank you, Amelia. If you had to make an estimate of time, how long do you think individuals should be spending if they are applying as a community on their application?
Great question. So communities, it can take a bit of time, I'll be honest. And one of the reasons that it can take the amount of time that it does is the sources of data in your community. You're going to need to coordinate with the police department, with your planning and engineering staff you're going to have to coordinate with the schools because we ask about education in schools, the local community groups that are involved in any kind of education or encouragement events. So there are a lot of different moving components and a lot of different people and departments that often need to be engaged with. So for that reason alone, I think it can take a few weeks of back and forth for us, one individual to collect all that information. Many communities go about it by creating committees that encompass, each of those different groups that I described. And often what starts out as a temporary committee to submit this application becomes a permanent bicycle advisory committee for the community. And we hear over and over again that bringing those different stakeholders together to recognize that they're each playing different roles in the community being bicycle friendly, facilitating that conversation between them is one of the most valuable parts of the application process for a lot of communities, because these entities weren't necessarily talking to each other before, or they didn't realize how their work overlapped. So it's one of my favorite things about the program, actually, is sort of forcing these conversations at the local level. So again, it does depend on the size of the community and where that data lives. If you happen to be a smaller community and one person is, in charge of all of these things, I'll be very impressed, but that might be much faster. But we ask a total of something like 200 or 300 data points across the 5 E's. So it is a lot of different pieces of information that communities work to collect to submit these applications.
Thank you. When people become bicycle-friendly communities in particular, have you seen a growth of access to other kind of federal, state-level grants, other nonprofit grants as well?
Yeah, we've definitely seen communities use their bicycle-friendly community status to submit for grants and different sources of funding. Obviously, there's no guarantee of it, and sometimes people think that we are a granting body, and I wish we were, but we're not. So there's no funding directly coming from becoming a bicycle-friendly community. But I have definitely seen BFCs use their BFC status to go after funding and successfully get funding for things like trail improvements or various grants for programming or education. So it is definitely possible. And then the other thing is the League of American Bicyclists, as sort of this outside entity that has evaluated you, we're now available to offer letters of support. And we do that for a lot of communities that are applying for grants. And if we're familiar with your community because you've gone through the BFC application process, it's that much easier for us to show our support for efforts in the community to help you get those grants. So yes, it's absolutely something that helps.
Thanks, Amelia. I'll give a few moments for anyone to type in any final questions. Just as a reminder, as I said a few moments ago, next webinar is September 11th at 1 p.m. again, and that'll be on Wi-Fi development and how that can help revitalize your downtown. All right, I'm not seeing any further questions, so thank you, Amelia, today, once again for this wonderful webinar. Very insightful, and I hope everyone else enjoyed it. If you have any questions, you can email us at info@heritageohio.org, and also you can contact Amelia with your contact information as well. You all will be receiving a copy of this webinar, and anyone who didn't attend today as well that was signed up will receive a copy of the webinar, I believe at 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon is when it's scheduled to go out to your inboxes. So once again, thank you, Amelia. Thank you, everyone, for attending today, and we hope you enjoyed the webinar. Thanks.